Hello, everybody. I was expecting that we were going to actually
All right.
start on time for once,
Sorry,
but
I'm late.
yeah, I just started streaming. You interrupted me. Anyway, as I was saying, I was expecting us to, for once, actually get started on time tonight. We were scheduled to go live at 8:30, but somebody didn't show up. Alkazai and Chicago Liberal was supposed to come on here too. I don't know where the hell he is. But how's everyone doing tonight?
Sorry for being late.
It's fine. It's fine. How's everyone doing? Fordor?
Oh, I'm doing great. I just got done reading the transcript of Trump's speech and the articles of impeachment, so I think I at least know what I'm talking about here.
Yep, that's good that we have somebody who did. I did not in the meantime because
the articles of impeachment are only like 3.5 pages. I'll
Okay.
drop those in the side chat just so everybody knows exactly what they're going for there.
Okay. And but yeah, thanks for coming. Like at least nice that we have somebody here who's at least studied that bit. This was sort of a last minute episode. I wasn't planning on doing one until like Friday or Saturday, but I was originally supposed to do an interview with, or not an interview, but a conversation with somebody, another content creator, but then also who's written some books. But he had to cancel last minute, so I was like, I need to do something. So figured might as well talk about impeachment. I was thinking a shorter episode tonight. I mean, I know I always say we're going to have a shorter episode, and it ends up being like 3 hours. But I'm going to stick to try to get exactly to 2 hours and no more time than that. But
you're not going to walk to the store and let us take over your stream and talk about Supernatural for 45 minutes?
No. Because the thing is that when that happened, that wasn't a pig. That was just the election commentary. But anyway, Grayson, how are you doing this evening? Grace, is he not here?
Oh, you're talking to me?
Yeah.
That's you.
Oh, me?
No, he's talking to me.
Oh.
No, I was talking to you, Grayson.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, I just didn't hear the name. Hello. I'm doing fine.
That's good. Alkazai and Aristocratic Owl.
I've been doing good.
I'm
recently.
Fine. I'm feeling great today. I'll tell you that. Feeling.
That's good. You didn't rear end anybody again, did you?
No, because I haven't been driving.
That's why. Anyway, okay. Let's get started.
Yeah, my car was totaled, dude. I thought I told you that.
You didn't say it was totaled. You just said you got in an accident. But yeah, let's start talking about the matter at hand. Impeachment. Who was expecting that?
Me.
I was.
Me.
I mean, they were talking about it like 5 days ago.
Yeah, no, I mean, so yeah, I know, like they were talking about it 5 days ago.
Not for this.
But I didn't think that they were actually taking it all that seriously, especially because of how Trump's out of office either way within less than a week.
Well, okay, if they impeach him and it gets through the Senate, then he can't serve again in 4 years. So it prevents him from running again. It's not useless.
Fair enough. But yeah, who else has been following this? Because I do admit I've been not following politics as much as I used to, just because it's kind of tiring. But this is
as
definitely
useless as it might sound, I have kind of been picking up somewhat on what Vox Day's been saying. But
okay, what's he been saying?
Let's just say Vox Day's been useless. For the last couple of days, he's been kind of going on the shittiest takes of QAnon you could possibly think of.
Wait, is Vox Day
Although
QAnon?
I think one of his videos, he did mention that he might actually agree with the QAnon theory. But in his recent video, I think he may have just ended up giving up on that.
Who are you talking about?
Vox Day. He's a political right-wing commentator.
Yeah, would he be considered alt-right necessarily, or just
no?
No, I don't know much about him, but I've heard
more. He would fall more within the alt-right category.
So like with Cernovich, kind of like with Cernovich, those guys.
Yeah, Senovich, maybe Ann Coulter, so on and so forth.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
But
so
I've been watching him because that's all I've had time to actually just keep up with some of the news happening lately.
I mean, anything's better than CNN and Fox. But either way, so Grayson, how closely have you been following this?
I've been following this very not so well. I just know the basics of it.
Okay. And Alkazai, I mean, you're generally the most informed when it comes to these sort of things.
Yeah. What questions do you have? Throw them at me.
Well, not necessarily questions. Could you just like give a basic rundown? Because I trust you to do that.
So, like, the current crowd estimations are like 100K or something. People stormed the Capitol because they thought the election was stolen. And then Trump didn't really do anything about it for 2.5 hours. Mike Pence had to call in the National Guard. And then once the Capitol was cleared, the Democrats were like, all right, we got to get this fucker out of here now. And so I think it was Ilhan Omar that drew up the articles of impeachment.
Why did they let her, of all people?
I think she was just the first one to do it.
Oh, okay. It was probably grandstanding, honestly, knowing her.
Yeah. So, and the Democrats just decided to do an impeachment speed run any percent.
Oh, that's it. Okay, and then 10 Republicans.
It's working.
It is.
And Mitch McConnell even said Trump's committed an impeachable offense.
So, do you think McConnell is finally going to turn on Trump? Because it seems like Trump doesn't even have any leverage over McConnell. Because, I mean,
Mitch McConnell's making a calculated effort to save the GOP. So, him backing impeachment is a way he's trying to redeem himself.
Okay. Because I remember back during like the height, the apex of Donald Trump's presidency, you had most of the Republicans, many of whom did not like Trump originally, and who policy-wise would not be particularly likened to Trump. Yet they all became total sycophants. Like you had Ted Cruz.
Lindsey Graham's the worst, probably.
Lindsey Graham is the worst. I will say that. But then also,
I can agree.
Lindsey Graham is awful.
Yeah, and then I think Ted Cruz is cringier than Lindsey Graham, though. Like,
Ted Cruz is more harmful than Lindsey Graham, I think.
I agree. And then also, so I've said this many times.
Oh, also Josh Hawley. Holy God, I want to. Okay, I don't want to get the stream taken down, so I won't say anything about Josh Hawley.
What do you think about Trey Gowdy?
Who?
Let me finish. I was going to say, or I think I've said it on this stream multiple times in the past, but I have never been more disappointed in a single politician in my life than I am with Rand Paul.
What about Nancy Pelosi?
I mean, I never really thought much about Nancy Pelosi either way because I never agreed with her much as it was. So I see Pelosi as just nothing more than just a stabilizing force in Congress. That's pretty much all I see her as.
I mean, Nancy Pelosi is good at her job. I'll give her that.
She's not. She's definitely a better speaker than Paul Ryan.
Oh my God, totally. She's more of an effective legislator because it's good. It's better. It's useful to think of like the Speaker of the House and like the Senate Majority Leader too as like mini prime ministers. And so when you think of the job like that, like Nancy Pelosi's a better prime minister.
Hands down.
I think if we're going that, I think Tip O'Neill was actually the best speaker in the last 50 years.
Think so? I don't know much about him.
Yeah.
But yeah.
He was the Democrat speaker under Reagan.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Why was I thinking Nixon?
I don't like Tip O'Neill because his last name is O'Neill, thereby implying he's Irish, and I'm not a fan of the Irish, so I don't like him.
And he's related to Shaquille O'Neal? No, that was a dumb joke. The big black man. Anyway, so
I actually think Mitch McConnell agreeing with the impeachment will ultimately, one, be beneficial, and two, it will ultimately destroy the GOP.
I don't know if it'll be beneficial, but it'll definitely lead to the destruction of the GOP.
I was talking to one of my family.
I don't think it'll lead to the destruction of the GOP. I think that's ludicrous. The Democratic Party literally started a civil war, and they're still around.
Yeah, I mean the no, but
Yeah,
like
but
the
you also have
GOP is
to
at least going to
remember-
splinter, and I'm not going to say it's going.
Well-
I don't want to say it's going to become a third party because it's not, but it's definitely going to become a much more minor force.
I think it'll lead
it
to
has
the
been.
decline of it, at least in the short term.
Yeah, in the short, like okay, in the short term, like this,
Well-
the Trump, the whole the Trump shit, it's going to lead to a short term decline of the GOP. Like people who are thinking, oh, the GOP is going to be dead. They're gonna again, the Democrats literally started a civil war, and they're still around.
Well, you have to also
This is
remember the
time to recuperate.
Democratic Party is the inner party of the deep state. They basically control most of it. I mean, right now we currently live in a press-controlled state by the mainstream.
I mean, I understand the argument that you're coming from, but you need to word that in a different way because you're more espousing a theory. Like because I know you're basically quoting Yarvin, but you're framing it in such a way that makes it sound like it's something that is known that everybody knows.
I don't think the Democrats are running.
I mean, to be fair,
Republicans are also controlling parts of the deep state.
Because I mean,
well, the establishment Republicans are more so in line with the deep state, but they're not necessarily in control of it.
Okay.
I think the deep state's in control of the deep state. I don't think it really has anything to do with party.
I don't think there is a deep state. I don't think we really have a government right now.
No, you see, I don't call them the deep state. I just call them the Praetorians because that's basically what they are.
I don't think there's a deep state. I think it's a little ludicrous to insist there is one. Like, because the thing is, like, a country with an actual deep state, like, we're nothing like Pakistan. Like,
Or Turkey.
Well,
okay,
the reason I refer to it as deep state is because most people can sympathize with the wording, especially with more mainstream people who might be on Politicrat's channel. So that's why I use the term deep state. But you can use really anything, any terminology within there.
Because like what's been going on for the past 4 years is that like Republicans have been tolerating Trump because they've been giving him some of the policies he wants.
Well, okay. By deep state, I assume you're talking about the appointed people that stay in their positions between political regimes, right?
Yes, sort of.
I mean, that does exist. There are people who do stay in their positions throughout changing presidents.
I'm also referring to it as a sort of the monolith that you kind of see basically in line where the government lines up with nearly all sects. This would include the civil service, the media, the academic institutions.
Okay, what do you mean by the media and the academic institutions?
The media as in everything from Facebook to YouTube to the news media of CNN to MSNBC. Then you have the institutions that come from the think tanks, Harvard, Yale, the official press.
So
all of this would basically be within an alignment together known as what you can loosely call the cathedral. And the Democratic Party currently has the complete control over the cathedral.
I would maybe agree they have a larger amount of control, but I don't think they have complete control. Over media, yes, I can agree with that.
I mean, okay, well the thing is, but my problem is that the media, what we call the mainstream media, isn't really that powerful anymore.
It's a lot more powerful than you like to think.
Still changes the opinions of people who barely pay attention, because and that's a lot of people.
There are people, including intelligent people in my family, who will basically, it will definitely influence their position on things, and then their minds will be changed in a different direction.
I mean, we all freak out about a state-controlled press, but no one talks about a press-controlled state.
I don't think fucking Jake Tapper controls the U.S. government.
Jake Tapper, no, it's obviously
he can sway public opinion and change how people are going to vote, though.
It's obviously Joe and Mika. They control the government.
Dude, totally, bro.
Yeah.
But anyway, sorry if I was getting if I sidetracked you guys a little bit from there. You were originally gonna go on impeachment. If you would want to get back to that.
Yeah, okay. That's what I do want to get back. In the meantime, you guys keep discussing that. I'm gonna pull up a video in the meantime. So give me like 30 seconds.
Okay. Who here has actually read the articles of impeachment that they put forward?
I loosely read them.
It's only 3 pages. I mean,
yeah. Well, I mean, I kind of skimmed through it like just quickly before coming on here.
So it looks like in there they only quote his speech directly once, and that looks like it's taken out of context. I mean, 2 paragraphs after that, he explains what he means by fight, and it is for the Republican senators and congresspeople to object to the vote or to the reading of the electors' results.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's obvious that that we all know that from a legitimate standpoint of impeachment, we all know that it's mostly falsified to try to get Trump out of office. The question still stands politically on whether or not the right should agree with this, hopefully in pushing potentially a new narrative and to help undermine future candidacy for both the GOP and the Democratic on whether or not how we can push forward politically. Sorry. I guess a better way of saying that is whether or not the actual deep right or alternative right to the mainstream should push for impeachment and hoping that they can bring out of it a better narrative than just the GOP.
I mean, is it even a narrative anymore?
Have any impact on anything ever?
Well, not the alt-right, but just I'm talking about the right that's not the mainstream GOP right. That's
the mainstream GOP is Trump, though.
No.
Yes and no. Like, okay, so in a sense,
Trump is his own thing.
So I mean, if you consider like the BoomerCon, TPUSA, they're like like for instance, Charlie Kirk is what I would call an epistemological boomer, or an ontological boomer, where he's a millennial, but he believes boomer things. And
I like the term epistemological boomer.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what he is. And I mean, because the thing is, so he has like the beliefs of like your average pre-Trump, like Ted Cruz-ish type Republican. Yet at the same time, then he just embraces Trump. Yet he believes certain things that Trump did not run on in his platform. Because it seems like a lot of these people, the boomer cons, and again, that includes the epistemological boomers too in TPUSA on college campuses everywhere. But yeah, no. So they like Trump just because it's more of like a blind loyalty type thing, or they like how he acts. They like how he just doesn't give a shit. Number one. Number two, he's not the Democrats. So yeah, that's it. They see him as like the closest thing to their guy they can get. But then over time, it was sort of this like Stockholm syndrome type thing, and they legitimately like him now, but they don't know why they like him. And again, this is just the mainstream Republicans, because there are definitely those who have actual policy reasons for liking him. But again, this is more so the establishment GOP. And then they're sort of going to be like, and you're starting to see it happen too. And it began even right after the election in November, before even the results came in, when they started calling Biden. You started seeing one by one all of these different conservative, both politicians and Fox News people, all of them, they sort of started to snap out of it. And then next thing you know, you get Tucker Carlson calling Trump a crybaby.
I mean, in his defense, Trump is a crybaby.
He is a crybaby. Yeah. He's totally a crybaby.
Just like one of those pathetic people in the face of the planet.
Yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to take a look at the hold on, this footage from the I think this is, yeah.
President Trump has responded.
You guys hear it?
He has just released a video. This is a White House video from the Oval Office. This was not.
You're going to get
We're not reporters in the room. This is a White House video, but it is in response to the impeachment.
I've never got struck for showing the news.
Special report.
Okay.
My fellow Americans, I want
Wait, shit. Hold on. Is that Hayek?
I
don't think.
No. Okay. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Wait, this is important, guys. This is important.
It says, okay, so look right underneath the blue flag.
Yeah,
that looks like a picture of Hayek.
You put your cursor over it.
I mean,
that looks like a picture of Hayek.
Like, I don't think Trump is particularly educated on economics.
Do you think Trump put those pictures over there?
No, it was probably Pence. Okay.
Tonight, about the troubling events of the past week. As I have said, the incursion of the U.S. Capitol struck at the very heart of our republic. It angered and appalled millions of Americans across the political spectrum. I want to be very clear. I unequivocally condemn the violence that we saw last week. Violence and vandalism have absolutely no place in our country and no place in our movement. Making America great again has always been about defending the rule of law, supporting the men and women of law enforcement, and upholding our nation's most sacred traditions and values. Mob violence goes against everything I believe in and everything our movement stands for. No true supporter of mine could ever endorse
so insincere. It's
political
actually
violence.
really
Like he was held
No
hostage.
true supporter of mine could ever
and I'm not even.
disrespect
I don't
law
even have Trump
enforcement
derangement syndrome.
or
Even I can
our
tell
great
it's dishonest.
American flag.
Piece of shit when I
No
see
true
one.
supporter of mine could ever threaten or harass their
No
fellow
true
Americans.
Scotsman.
If you do any of these things, you are not supporting our movement. You are attacking it, and you are attacking our country. We cannot tolerate it. Tragically, over the course of the past year, made so difficult because of COVID-19, we have seen political violence spiral out of control. We have seen too many riots, too many mobs, too many acts of intimidation and destruction. It must stop. Whether you are on the right or on the left, a Democrat or a Republican,
Because those are the only two
there is
options.
never a justification for violence.
The only two political
No
ideologies are liberal and
excuses.
conservative.
No,
No
if you're not a
exceptions.
Democrat or a Republican,
America
then you have
is a
every right to be
nation
violent,
of
according
laws.
to him, right?
Those who engaged in the attacks last week will be brought to justice. Now I am asking everyone who has ever believed in our agenda to be thinking of ways to ease tensions, calm tempers, and help to promote peace in our country.
Yeah, somebody tried to do that, and they threatened to kick him out of Congress.
Demonstrations are being planned in the coming days, both here in Washington and across the country. I have been briefed by the U.S. Secret Service on the potential threats. Every American deserves to have their voice heard in a respectful and peaceful way. That is your First Amendment right.
Like he's not even trying to sound. He's just like reading it straight off. Like
no law
it
breaking,
reminds me of like a
and no
very little
vandalism of
emphasis
any
on
kind.
anything.
It reminds me of like kindergartners when they're forced to put on like plays for the parents when they come.
No,
they are just sort of.
I have directed federal agencies to use all necessary resources
I think
to
it's
maintain order.
Yeah.
In Washington, D.C., we are bringing in thousands of National Guard members to secure the city and ensure that a transition.
Out of everything that happened, I may have recently radicalized my neighbor.
And deeply saddened by the calamity at the Capitol last week. I want to thank the hundreds of millions of incredible American citizens who have responded to this moment with calm, moderation, and grace. We will get through this challenge just like we always do.
We always get through this challenge. It's the very same challenge.
Unprecedented assault.
Every time they storm the Capitol.
Eternal recurrence.
In 1812, we got past it, and we'll get past it this time.
The efforts to
that was the White House,
cancel, and
blacklist
our fellow citizens are wrong.
Then again, when I
and they are
interviewed somebody
dangerous.
the other night,
What is
a
needed
professor
now
of
is for us to
musicology
listen to one
UC
another,
Boulder, the interview's on
not
my
to
channel.
silence
But
one
when I was
another.
doing that, I
All
accidentally
of us
referred
can
to it as storming of the White House,
by our action
and
Yeah.
like he
to
didn't even catch
rise
it.
above the rancor and find
I noticed
common
that when I was
ground
re-listening
and
to that.
shared purpose. We
It's
must
the only
focus on
comparable thing I can
advancing
think
the
of that
interests
happened.
of the whole nation, delivering the miracle
Storming of the
vaccines,
Bastille.
defeating the pandemic, rebuilding the economy, protecting our national security,
I mean,
and
didn't Armenians
upholding
storm their
the rule
parliament
of
like
law.
at the end of 2020?
Today, I am calling on all Americans to overcome the passions of the moment and join together as one American people. Let us choose to move forward united for the good of our families, our communities, and our country. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.
You know, when he says "God bless
President
America,"
Donald
he means
Trump
me.
in the
Me
Oval
bless
Office,
America.
with a message. Again, a White House video we just received, playing for you here on Special Report. Chief White House correspondent John Roberts, live on the North Lawn with reaction. Good evening, John. It's the
well, we're getting to the
longest response
impeachment.
we've
The
heard,
impeachment part.
and obviously the message the president wanted to get out tonight.
Yeah, just about 5 minutes and 13 seconds long. This was something that was put together after the impeachment vote came down in the House, but notable that the president did not talk at all about impeachment, something that he just yesterday referred to as a continuation of the years-long witch hunt. But the president talking
that's a
about
term
the
I haven't heard in a
violence,
while.
saying that no supporter of his would ever threaten or harass their fellow Americans, that he unequivocally condemns the violence, and that he has authorized all force necessary to prevent any further violence, imploring his supporters.
I think Trump's supporters actually went and erected a climbing-proof wall around the Capitol,
that there be no vandalism, nothing like that between now and the inauguration.
I mean, I'm sure the National Guard has some Trump supporters.
The question now is, Brett,
there were people wearing Trump stuff that were doing
impeachment? Will there be
maybe
a
they were
in
just
the
helping?
Senate, as was pointed out earlier? Senator Mitch McConnell
I mean,
said
if
that there's
Trump
no time to do it before the
storming
inauguration
the
of
Capitol,
Joe
I'm pretty
Biden.
sure they don't have the
I
mental
do know
capacity
that the president's aides have reached out to outside counsel to see who
doubting
might
it's
be
the same
available
people.
should a trial occur in the Senate. I am told that the president's last impeachment team, Pat Cipollone, Patrick Philbin, Jay Sekulow, and Pam Bondi, would not be signing up for another drink at the well. Other outside counsel, I'm told, has politely declined as well. It is possible that Rudy Giuliani, maybe a constitutional expert named John Eastman, and potentially Alan Dershowitz could be involved if this one goes to trial in the Senate. But the big question is whether it ever gets there, because the White House aides.
What are your guys' thoughts on Rudy Giuliani?
Quickly.
Oh my God!
Okay, I'll say this. I've said this again. I've said this many times. You either die a hero, or you live long enough to see yourself become Rudy Giuliani.
Oh, damn.
It's true. Like, he was America's mayor. He handled 9/11 fantastically.
Yeah.
He would have gone down in the history books as one of the best mayors in U.S. history.
He handled organized crime real well.
Pardon?
He handled organized crime pretty well.
He did.
That wasn't when he was mayor, though. That was when he was a prosecutor.
It doesn't matter.
Either way.
As a person.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll continue. We'll get to the end here.
As Congressman James Clyburn of South Carolina suggested, after Joe Biden's first 100 days, they believe that the potential for a conviction in the Senate will be greatly diminished. Brett?
John, it's pretty stark, the difference between the speech he delivered last Wednesday on the Mall and that message that we heard tonight.
I don't think there's very much difference if you read the speech.
Yeah, I mean, there's even a difference between what we heard tonight and what we heard yesterday. Yesterday, as he was at Joint Base Andrews about to board Air Force One, the president said that his speech on the ellipse a week ago has been analyzed and was found to be totally appropriate. I don't think you'd find many people who would agree with that assessment. But
okay, that's enough of that. We get the point.
He didn't.
But either way, so yeah, Trump's speech. It seemed like he was definitely. At least I got the sense. What's going on there? He sounded like somebody who's just trying to save face. Like he was just saying something. He was just reading something. Like
Well,
does that make sense?
It was about 50% whining that the election was stolen, and it was maybe 25% saying he wants them to peacefully go over to the Capitol building and yell encouragement to the senators and Republicans that are going to object, and about 25% nonsense.
Yeah. No. So yeah, that's what he did, and then I don't know if so. At least the sense I got. Like maybe Trump like internally wanted chaos. I can totally see that. In that he was like, in that he thought process. Oh, I know these people are going to do something like that. I'm not going to advocate.
There's no history of them doing anything like that.
Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, Trump knows his support. There's like a deeper spiritual, metaphysical bond between, and I'm being completely literal.
He has a psychic connection with his supporters.
Not psychic. It's transcendent. It's spiritual. It's metaphysical. I'm not even joking right now. But between him and his support base, no, I'm not. I'm quite literally not even joking.
Have you lost it?
Okay, maybe not spiritual. Maybe say transcendent, metaphysical. Probably the way of saying it. Yeah.
Oh shit.
I mean, I'm being tongue in cheek, but I am more or less serious. Like you get what I mean. But either way, so I feel like, especially because there were those rowdier elements there. I mean, people were wearing certain clothing, certain attire, certain flags.
There were about Nazis.
Some of them, I think, were spies
saying they were Nazis.
Of Antifa.
Exactly. So I feel like Trump probably noticed some of that and knew that they were going to do something. I think Trump. So I'm not going to assume one way or another. This is just one of a million possibilities. But that Trump figured something like that would happen. It doesn't matter whether he wanted that to happen or not, but he somewhat enabled it because he intuitively felt that something like that would happen. But his words,
violence had already started at the Capitol while he was giving his speech.
Really? I mean, maybe like some scuffles. And maybe that's why he wanted them to march down there, because he wanted it to get, he wanted an even bigger political pigpen.
He wanted them to calm things down by, following his orders and going.
The thing is, the whole Capitol riots were all a scam. I mean, everything was set up by them.
What do you mean a scam?
Well, I mean, dude, you know how easy they just, when they got in there, they basically let the doors open. Like most of the federal.
No, honestly, no. So the thing is, so you know Occam's razor, right?
Oh.
You know what that is, right?
I know Occam's razor. Yes.
That exactly. That applies here. The simple answer is that Capitol security sucks. They would never expect any of this sort of thing to happen. This is not something that's ever happened before. Unprecedented. And it's just not something you'd think about, like attacking the Capitol. So, I mean, obviously,
Capitol security doesn't suck, and
I never said it sucked. I just said it wasn't.
You just said it
sucks.
Yeah, they were
just said that.
Did I say it sucked?
Yes, you did.
Okay, I'm tired. I haven't slept in like over a day, so. But
I mean, they were woefully unprepared.
Absolutely, and they were denied backup.
They were denied backup too.
Why were they denied backup?
I believe they didn't want it to look like the Black Lives. The reason I've seen given is that they didn't want the optics to turn out like the Black Lives Matter police enforcement when people were hit with pepper balls and stuff.
Okay. What I still don't understand, and we talked about this on. Actually, I completely understand, but it's hypocritical. About when we had the last episode, we were talking about the riots. How the media was very quick to call this a riot, which 100% it was. Yeah. Yet they over the demonstrations over the summer, and I think it went into early fall. They didn't even call it, like, I mean. Yeah, the peaceful. No, because what was it? It was like 85% of the people there were peacefully protesting. Yet they still didn't differentiate. They still somehow did not differentiate between them and the people who were legit rioting.
I mean, my favorite image is the guy standing in front of the burning building saying it's mostly peaceful out here.
I did not see that, but I heard about that. No,
I can probably find it.
No, I'll take a look at it later. I don't want to get too off topic, but but not even in Kenosha. And the Kenosha riots were completely unjustified. Like the Kenosha riot was basically the result of people getting salty because because there was a criminal who just so happens to be black who ended up getting shot and didn't even die. And automatically because of that, and because of just the zeitgeist at the time, that became like, I don't know why they weren't calling that a riot. When overall there was more damage to property, all of that combined, than there was for what happened the other day. No, don't get me wrong. What happened the other day was totally an attempted insurrection.
I mean, what were they going to do when they got inside?
I mean, there really wasn't.
Because what I saw, what I feel like a lot of them.
If that happened in the 1800s or early 1900s, maybe that would have done something.
I've heard kind of multiple theories of what they were trying to do.
One of the theories.
No, okay, yeah.
No, they didn't have a plan.
No, it's like the Joker in The Dark Knight. It's like a dog chasing a car. I wouldn't know what to do when I caught it.
Well, there were certain people that did have a plan because, okay,
so Alcazar, hold on a second. This is what I wanted to go to. So some of the speculations I've heard. Number one, there was no plan. They were just caught up in the moment, and it just happened. It wasn't a matter of intellect. It was just a matter of blood. So it was basically like some sort of and then so that is the first, and then we have the second one, which is basically so they intellectualized and knew what they were doing, and it was more or less planned, but they saw it like a video game, and they thought that once they got into the Congress chambers, it was like saving the princess, and it's like they win. But that's not how real life works, and so they're dumb. Like you saw Q Shaman. Basically, he just goes and sits in Pelosi's seat. It's like, okay, you win, but you don't.
I'm the Pelosi now.
Well, I mean,
no, but then and then finally you have, or actually no, two more, and then you have those people who did it. They understood what the consequences were going to be if they did it. But they did it to make a statement. And finally, people who, and I think this was, this one was more or less confirmed. There were some element. I'm not saying it was all of them, but there were certain elements within the mob that wanted, I think, to hold some of the politicians hostage. And then they also found pipe bombs too. So it's basically the gunpowder plot mixed with the storming of the Bastille.
I wouldn't necessarily call it that.
The last thing you said, I'm not sure about. Everything before that, I know there was at least some mix of going on.
Well, yeah, no, because like you had the zip tie guy, the bartender in Nashville, like he was out for blood. There were certainly elements in there that were out for blood because you had people that planted bombs. You had multiple people that were armed with body armor and shit. And there were certainly some people who were just like goofing around. But
I don't think that
you also have to realize that there were some people who are actual infiltrators within that rally. Like there are actual people from BLM protests who went in there just to cause a ruckus to make.
Yeah, no, but honestly, it seems like a game of like say in like those 80s camp movies and stuff. You have it's like you have the two camps and they're playing pranks on each other and they're like rivals, but nobody knows who started the rivalry to begin with. Well, that's how I see it with the far left and the far right, because here you had some like Antifa infiltrators, yet then you had the riots over the summer where you had white nationalist infiltrators too participating in the riots. It's like, it's ridiculous. It's like a game.
They have white nationalists over the summer in the riots. I can tell you that very much that wasn't the case. The radical left does not need the radical right at all.
I know there was But yeah, no, it was they joined the riot, but they were sort of doing it for posing as the other side. Like, I mean, we saw that this time, we saw that last time, and then we also need to remember that the riots. We need to remember that the riots over the summer, it was not even about George Floyd. It was George Floyd was just the straw on the camel's back because everyone was so fed up with the lockdowns it was their rage. It was them trying to take out their rage, and then the lootings are never justified in any situation unless it's like, or I was about to say unless it's like fucking Hurricane Katrina and there's a Walgreens in there, but
it's gonna go bad anyway, so they
exactly but this wasn't that. This was people just being children, pyromaniac children, going in trying to burn shit down and steal other people's stuff. It was mostly inner city African American communities too, and a lot of the people who were rioting were upper middle class suburban white kids. But either way,
you had that realtor woman from Texas.
Yeah, and then Jake Paul.
What about Jake Paul?
He wasn't there,
I didn't hear anything about that.
No, he was at this one riot in California. He was caught looting.
Oh, I remember that.
Jake Paul. It's like he probably has like he probably. I mean, he doesn't deserve to have millions of dollars, but he probably has somewhere in there.
He leveraged his fame. He deserves that money.
Yeah, but anyway, but yeah, back to the impeachment. So I don't understand. So Trump. So deep down, it's possible Trump might have wanted this chaos to happen. That is something that I would seriously consider. Maybe. However, from the stuff he said, I don't understand how it could be considered actively trying to incite violence or insurrection. Because I mean, that just seems a little far-fetched to me.
Yeah.
And I mean, we're just going by what he said, because I mean, he wasn't like.
I've got 4 instances throughout his speech where he said what his goal for them was, and for it to be peaceful. He said we're going to walk over to the Capitol and we're going to cheer on the brave senators and congressmen and women. And later in the speech, he said, I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Well, that's because the whole idea of going into the Capitol, so forth, was never the plan. I would say it was set up by the Democratic Party.
It's possible
that they intentionally did not arm the police at that scene right away, so that
conspiracy.
I do not think. Dude, why the fuck would you bait and switch like that? Like, just think about this on a practical.
Why would the Democratic Party do that? So they would have out to be able to oust Trump
and potentially risk their own lives. Like, this is retarded.
What?
Do you think they're that smart?
Why? You do realize if you had impeached Trump, he wouldn't be able to run again in 2024.
Well, not necessarily.
Unless they were hoping to try to kill the movement. Now, I also think that the Democratic Party is also overstretching the limits of what they are thinking they can get away with, and
I would agree. You see, I would agree with that to an extent.
I don't think, for one, that's an incredibly dangerous gamble, right? Because if you don't arm the police, everything would have to go perfect in this plan.
Yeah.
This is.
I mean, to be fair, we've seen them gamble with worse.
This is just retarded.
I
mean, have you seen the election with Trump and Joe Biden?
Maybe a plot of some people who were Democrats, but not of Democratic people in the government.
I just don't see this plan working. You're putting your own, you're putting, not only you putting yourself at risk, you're putting everybody at Congress at risk. Yeah. It just seems just think of the logistics of this. It just doesn't make sense.
For the majority of it, these are Trump supporters. These aren't the Antifa Black Lives Matter rioters who were burning down the cities.
Well, yeah, no, but the events of the other day proves that they're basically just the same. I mean, for the longest time,
really.
For the longest time, you had the Trump.
The large majority of people when the doors were open.
Hold on, Al. What I was saying was, So for the longest time, the Trump supporters were holding their ground. They weren't going out and being particularly violent, and they just kind of let the rioters do their thing. And so they had the moral high ground for quite a while. And then you had Donald Trump, remember? And then he legitimately said at that one point, he was like, stand back and stand down, something like that. And there was really, they were handling it, at least the way I saw it, it seemed very tactful in a lot of ways. But then it's like they completely lost it. And they proved that they're no better than any other kind of common rioter revolutionary scum.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I can tell you right now. Have any of you guys seen the content creator Don the Pleb? I can tell you right now that he himself was at the protest when it came in there.
Was he?
He himself has verified that with people who were inside, that it wasn't as violent as any of you have described it. I at least know 3 other people who were inside the building. And what's funny is, you know the thing where someone was saying it was tear gas? The person I was chatting with, it was a fire extinguisher.
No.
And the media light up their butts.
You're confusing things. Both things are true. There was tear gas, and they were spraying fire extinguishers at the police. The police were using tear gas.
I was referring to the people, I was referring to the fact that some of the media outlets have been saying that the people are using tear gas, not the police.
Well, they did throw back a tear gas grenade at one point. There's footage of that.
Yeah, I mean, like that's still them using tear gas.
They returned a tear gas grenade to the police, like forcefully.
I don't remember seeing any footage of this.
I
remember people saying that there was the media claiming that they were using tear gas when there was a fire extinguisher going off, when they said that no, it was mostly a fire extinguisher. I also noticed the fact that the media lied up the butt about multiple accounts about it being even more violent than other avenues. Half the time I heard that when one of the people who walked in there, most of the people were just walking around the building.
I do know that when the police let them in at that one entrance, they were told to stay inside of the velvet ropes. And for as much as I could see in the video, they were staying within the velvet ropes and not like wrecking shit.
What I thought was kind of funny was when they started chasing the cops, and the cops were just running away.
I mean,
that's actually a police tactic.
Yeah, that's not dumb.
That's
I'm not a cop, so I wouldn't.
That was like you talk about the black guy that was like running up the stairs.
Oh, the cop. Yeah, I believe.
That was a calculated move. He was requesting backup, and they told him where to go, and so he was baiting them to go where other cops were.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't think the police.
Yeah, that's a very common police tactic. Like if you're overwhelmed, you like retreat to a smaller area that you can defend easier with more cops.
Yeah, the 300 type thing. Yeah.
Anyway, so right now we're
owned with facts and logic.
So what we're gonna do right now, we're just gonna take a look at the update for on the impeachment in general. So yeah, U.S. intelligence officials warned Wednesday's attack. It's a week ago, yeah. Capitol by supporters of President Trump likely motivate additional follow-up attacks by extremists throughout 2021. I heard the inauguration. So the state I live in is very close to. It's within driving distance, relatively speaking. I won't specify where I am, but
live in Maryland.
Yeah, I live in Maryland. I live in Maryland. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, within driving distance of the place. I was planning on going to the inauguration, but then apparently they're taking so many precautions. Like they don't even know. Like basically, it's possible that if something happens, they're just going to be people who are just fucking trapped in there.
I seriously hope nothing happens. It would.
I hope nothing happens either.
Extremely dumb if anything were to happen.
I mean,
what if something happened? Like, okay, so I was thinking about this. This is I have no idea. Well, actually, I guess it kind of makes sense. But so I said, what if something happened to Biden on that day, and Kamala Harris was sworn in as president? Like, if that happened, that is like an obvious coup.
Well, no, it's an obvious term of reference for them to get Biden out and to have Kamala Harris in there. They made it obvious that Kamala Harris, they want her to be the future of the Democratic Party.
I thought they were talking about AOC being the future of the like everybody's the future of the Democratic Party if they're popular.
No, John Ossoff is the future of the Democratic Party.
AOC is just. You see, the reason. Okay, I actually like AOC, but I like her But I like AOC for the same reason I like Donald Trump. It just caused so much chaos, and
Nah, AOC is the future of the Bernie Sanders socialist gang.
But
not the John Ossoff is the actual future of the Democratic Party, and I will defend that.
Oh, by the way, so I want to see what you have to say about this, Alcazar. So what if Donald Trump is impeached? And so this would be the best way to just cuck Kamala, and it would be amazing.
Impeached? You mean if he's convicted?
Or no, so if Trump is convicted and removed, so yeah, he's impeached. But if Trump is removed from office, Mike Pence becomes president.
Yeah.
And then what Mike Pence does, he nominates Nikki Haley as his vice president. And a day before Joe
nominate his vice president.
Just listen, or not nominate, but you're able to choose.
The next person in line becomes vice president, don't they?
No, that's actually not true.
Nancy Pelosi doesn't become if the president dies and the vice president assumes the presidency, he gets to appoint somebody to be the vice president. And they have to be concerned by both houses of Congress, I think, or is it just the Senate?
I think it's just.
Thank you for correcting me.
But anyway, so Speaker of the House only becomes president if both the president and the vice president die.
And even if they're only acting president, they're not actually the president.
But either way,
the powers of the president.
Yeah, but either way, so let's say 3 days out now. Let's say we're like 2-3 days out from the inauguration. So Nikki Haley becomes Mike Pence's vice president.
Oh my god, dude, that would be fucking hilarious.
Then Mike Pence, 36 hours before Biden is inaugurated, Mike Pence resigns. Nikki Haley is president for 20. No.
What is your point here? What are you trying to accomplish?
Because she would technically be the first female president when that's what Kamala has always dreamed of.
Say that he's a woman, and according to the Democrats, he's the first woman president.
Okay, but ironically. No, but I was saying I don't even particularly care for Nikki Haley, but I just think that would be absolutely hilarious if something like that.
I think it would be more hilarious if Donald Trump just said that he was a woman, so he could claim he was the first female president.
That would actually be pretty funny.
No, I mean if he's earnest about it, fine. Donnie who's a woman.
I think he should just do it spitefully.
That would be funny. Yeah. Anyway, so back to.
I mean, I'm very pro trans rights, so I won't. I won't say anything.
So the range of potential future attacks were varied, as well as racial, religious minorities, journalists.
Blah, blah, blah.
I don't care. I don't give a shit about. I don't give a shit about the journalists. They don't count. And members of the LGBTQ community. That's actually kind of strange that they'd add this because
is it strange
gay support for Donald Trump tripled in this.
But look at what you're reading. It's CNN. Of course they're going to say that.
Yeah, I know, but no, this is the intelligence report. Oh no, this is paraphrased from it. They're
CNN.
They're spinning the news. Yeah.
This has nothing to do with race or sexuality or anything like that. It's completely irrelevant. They're just saying it because they want to get those keywords to bring up this article so they can get more traffic to it.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. That's why, honestly. So generally, just to go off topic for a second. So I consider myself a capitalist. I think the profit motive is generally good. However, I think the profit motive is very dangerous when applied to the media.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, they are financially incentivized to lie and to pander and spread disinformation.
In the short term. In the long term, it is very dangerous for them.
That's why I like the idea of I prefer like citizen journalism.
Yep.
Anyway,
as well.
Or state-run shit like NPR.
Actually, yeah, surprising. Yeah, and normally I'm not for like state-run stuff, but like
NPR is about as honest as it gets for the left.
They're definitely not left. They're definitely like. I mean, if you want by left,
I think okay.
Center left.
Someone who actually likes NPR, I think it's fine to characterize them as left wing. And
they're definitely left of center, but I wouldn't consider them quote unquote left because when I think left wing, I think Bernie Sanders. I think leftism.
I'm not talking about extreme left, but they are definitely left bias.
All I said was they're about as honest as it gets when it.
Yeah, I was about to say NPR and PBS. I would agree with that.
I don't think PBS has. PBS is weird.
What?
They have boring straight news. The way news is supposed to be.
PBS is not political.
I mean,
they just read straight news.
Also, PBS is highly like decentralized.
Yeah.
So like, I think it really depends on your local area and like what the bias is.
I mean, I'm sure New York City. New York stuff.
Also, NPR only gets like 3 to 10% of its funding from the federal government, so I think it's a little dishonest to say, oh, it's like state-run media.
Yeah,
but otherwise, NPR. I love NPR. It's pretty good.
Yeah, just go driving in your car, blasting NPR. Oh yeah, that's right. You don't have a car out because I.
Thank you, Politicrat.
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so now we're talking about. These men and women dropped everything and raced to defend our country's temple of democracy. That's kind of creepy. Our country's temple of democracy.
I mean, if you look back at the people who built it and the way they set up the architecture and
but
organizations.
but they didn't establish it. But the thing is, they didn't establish it to be a temple of democracy. Maybe like
did they not?
No, because remember,
guys. Ever since the regime of FDR, we basically have turned into a soft communist regime. Ever since the regime of
not communist.
FDR.
No, I was talking about the
sort of like an no. Hold on, guys. What I mean by soft communist regime is basically the whole democracy, this or that, equal this. That's basically what I mean. Ever since the regime of FDR and the New Deal regime.
Just say authoritarian, because the thing is, communism, socialism, both are
soft communism, not hard communism. There's a difference.
I mean, but communism is communism.
Literally, what's the difference? What's the difference between soft and hard?
When I say communism is just communism.
You don't think the New Deal regime is a soft communist push by FDR?
No, it was.
The New Deal was not particular. It didn't really do very much. But
it was maybe socialist leaning, but it's definitely.
It was.
But then again, you can make the same thing.
It's more accurate to say it was like social democratic.
Yeah.
Well, that's still socialism.
And for one,
it's socialism within the context of capitalism.
Well, also, there's also like there's non-Marxist and Marxist social democracy, and it was FDR was certainly non-Marxist social democracy.
He was also for free trade, and he was pretty based
on
trade.
I don't know. I mean,
I am not an FDR.
Given the fact that I know that FDR was somewhat a little bit more favorable to the Soviet Union than what most people like to admit. Also, a lot of people in his brain trust
there was a reason for this, Owl. It's because at the time we were both at war against Nazi Germany. And so
except for the fact that you're also missing the point that in FDR's brain trust, half the people in there were all card-carrying communists.
Because there was infiltration. It had nothing to do.
These people were back in 1920. Like, these people were in America and already pushing.
Yeah, I know that. And then what's funny, a lot of these people ended up moving to the right economically and became the neoconservatives. And
literally me, I'm a neocon.
Yeah. No, one of my favorite. I doubt any of you guys have ever have ever. I doubt any of you guys have ever read him because of how obscure he is. But there was
Burnham.
Yeah, James. How'd you know I was going to say James Burnham?
Because you always mention James Burnham.
I do always mention James Burnham. But he was an example. He was a Trotskyist, ended up becoming like a classical liberal type, but also like a proto neocon. I don't know really what you can't really classify him.
Who are you talking about?
Burnham, James Burnham. He did Machiavellian's.
But anyways, the main thesis point with the Temple of Democracy is that this all revolves around what you can characterize is the cult of democracy that emerged at the New Deal regime.
I would call it
the same time with the communists emerging within Russia, and that these two phenomenons are part of the same philosophical school of thought.
What? The New Deal and communism are not.
No. Well, the New Deal.
I don't like the New Deal, but that is very, very far
just not in favor of
like you're kind of getting into like I like a good conspiracy. Like I consider myself a conspiracy empiricist, not a conspiracy theorist. I consider myself a conspiracy empiricist. But this isn't a very This is not
Politicrat. You also said it
oh my
yourself.
God, dude! All the terms you come up with, you're such a weird.
Politicrat, you even said it yourself that half the people from the Trotskyist regime basically moved over to the neocons.
No, that is true. That's proven.
Yeah, but like the only thing about
they were like really young
with them was their foreign policy.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for the fact that within
their foreign policy beliefs are what truly defined them all along. Their economic beliefs that was secondary. So in terms of strategy, it didn't really matter. Like they did, it was more so alliance of convenience. Like they started as Trotskyists. They really cared about the foreign policy aspect of it. That's what attracted them to that particular movement. And then after during the Cold War, that whole thing, a lot of them ended up becoming more like LBJ style liberals and eventually neoconservatives as well. And that's because it was just the economics of communism, especially in the West, were not seen as particularly feasible because they weren't. But then again, it also had to do with sort of team loyalty also. It's like because a lot of these people were legitimately patriotic towards the United States. They just happened because this was before the Cold War again. So communism was more mainstream in other places before it became seen as sort of the dominant signifier of the Eastern Bloc in the Soviet Union. But so at that point, it was more or less a matter of loyalty that they would change their economic beliefs to something that was more like liberal. But either way, yeah, I don't think that there is a link between FDR's economic agenda, the Trotskyists, or who became neocons later on, communist infiltrators, like legitimate.
It reminds me.
It just reminds. Well, I was about to say it reminds me of that that scene on Always Sunny in Philadelphia. It's a meme too, where Charlie is has the conspiracy theory chart.
No, it reminds me of like when people try to use that Harry Truman quote about like how the Republicans call anything socialist, but they misinterpret it to mean, oh, Harry Truman's advocating for socialism, when it means no, Harry Truman isn't a socialist. He's just complaining about the fact that every policy he's putting forward that isn't really remotely communistic is just slandered as such.
Well, at that point, They were using communism just as a general slur against anything that they didn't like.
That's what Harry Truman was complaining about, but like a bunch of leftists would be like, Harry Truman was a socialist, like the guy who came up with the Truman Doctrine. Yeah, he's a communist.
Honestly, it's not as cringy as when people say Biden is a socialist. I've literally heard that. It is like the most fucking boomer con shit ever.
Moderate without any strong opinions.
I mean, like Biden is very pro.
He's to Trump's right on economics.
Okay, no, Biden is a brain dead old guy who they're basically using as a prop up so they can have Kamala Harris.
Things that he's said over the years, that's great.
Well, I like But anyway, back to we're kind of we're definitely getting off topic.
I was mainly trying to point out the Temple of Democracy fits.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's what we were talking about.
Democracy. Yes, that's what I was originally saying.
But yeah, no, but it does just seem very creepy, like especially having those together. It's basically people seem to forget because you never hear people talking about life, liberty, and property anymore. Like you never hear people talk about. Yet those were the values upon which this country was founded. This country was built upon the values of life, liberty, and property, not democracy, equality, and materialism. Those were not the values that this country was built on. They were seen instead as secondary mechanisms through which to advance the values of life, liberty, and property. But they were never seen, nor were they ever supposed to be values.
I think that's entirely dishonest to say that the U.S. wasn't founded on at least some vague principles of liberal democracy.
I didn't say that. No, it definitely was. But
I can give you a history rundown of it.
That's exactly what I'm saying right now. Because it was built on the concept of the principle is liberty. And then democracy was seen as not so much a principle as much as it was a tool to advance the value of liberty. Hence,
or like a
liberal democracy.
Part of the concept of liberty itself.
Or it eventually kind of became a part of it. But remember, liberty was always seen as taking front seat to democracy.
It was second after life, yeah.
Well, no. The thing, basically, life, liberty, and property. I mean, there's no reason. Life, liberty, and property are set in that order. I mean, for the same reason it's Father, Son. For the same reason it's Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. They're all equally important. They all comprise. They're all aspects, more or less, of this same abstract concept.
I really think they put them in order of importance.
I don't think so. I mean, I've always seen life, liberty, and property, just that whole concept, almost as a result of, and I think in a lot of ways it's subconscious, but the Enlightenment was in many ways the secularization, the naturalization, the rationalization.
That's part of it.
And rationalization of Christianity and the Christian feeling of linear progress. And so those ideas were, again, materialized, rationalized, secularized, and naturalized. Father, Son, Holy Spirit became life, liberty, and property. Global proselytism became the civilizing mission, the white man's burden. You had all of these different ideas that were originally rooted in religion that came to the underlying principles were still there. But the spiritual religious aspect was more or less divorced from it. For instance, you see really no difference between the Crusades back in the 11th, 12th centuries, and the neocon, like the neocons. I'm thinking specifically not just the neocons, just the internationalists in general are talking about spreading democracy to these other countries instead of spreading the religion of Christianity. They're spreading the religion of democracy, especially to these particular countries and other places around the world where democracy means absolutely nothing to them, is not inherent to their cultural lifeblood, and is just not understood. It's not because they're like backwards or barbaric or anything, because frankly, I don't think that. It's just that's not it is not a natural state.
If you want a more concrete example of how this cult of democracy emerged and how it expanded, it goes back by a far broader modernistic trend whose techno-scientific, economic, and social strands.
Yeah. I'm gonna stop you. I'm gonna stop you right there, Owl. I know, because I think you know that I know this. I don't know if Fordor and Alkazai do, but I don't want, like, I like having you on, Owl, but man, you're even worse than me sometimes when it comes to tangents.
Yeah. Suffice to say, I can say that the cult of democracy, in short, comes from English Puritan dissenters.
Yeah, okay. That's actually, and then also that's how you get, I mean, communism is more or less, or Marxism is more or less a form of radical Calvinism.
I mean,
itself,
well, sort of. There are the ranters.
The eschatology is the exact same.
Bro, can we go back?
Yes, we're moving.
Yeah.
Shit.
Okay. Biden wants the Senate to handle constitutional responsibilities on impeachment. Urgent business.
I don't actually think Biden wants like this impeachment thing to go through because this is
I think Biden's just clocked out at this point.
I don't think Biden knows what Biden wants.
No, because the thing is, it's like because he wants to use the first 100 days to actually get shit done, and this is sort of getting in the way. Like on some level, he probably wants Trump impeached, but like this is gonna like cloud his first 100 days.
Oh, I think the whole election is going to cloud his first 100 days.
Why? Because half the country thinks it was stolen.
Yeah.
Half the country doesn't think it was stolen.
Yes. I think
not half. It's not.
I mean, I think the election was stolen.
Okay. The half of the engaged people.
No, but the thing is, like, because half and half, it's like half. I mean, generally, I know this is not empirically true, but this is
like?
This is nominal. It is a nominal truth that half a Republican, half of the country Republican, half of the country Democrat. At least in terms of the voters.
I'm talking about
but hold on. Let me say something. But the thing is, so 50% of the people would equal in this very reductive example 100% of the Republicans. 100% of Republicans most certainly do not believe the election was stolen. Yeah, I would say, I would argue that maybe saying even 50% of Republicans think it was stolen, even that's a bit of a stretch.
Well, according to most polling, it's 80% or like 70 to 80%.
80% think that it was stolen?
Yes. Yeah, that's what most polling.
Yeah.
I thought it was 80% believed that it wasn't stolen.
No.
So these are mainstream Republicans who actually, actually think that.
I mean, it's obvious that it was stolen.
I mean, I'd understand why, like, someone like Owl would think that because he's not this is no offense. That came out wrong. But I mean, it's because you're not on the main part of the mainstream right. However, you have these basic bitch boomer cons who are talking about, it's almost like, are they just parroting talking points, or do they legitimately see that? Like,
all I could say is that people are starting to wake up.
I don't know.
Wow, yeah, you're so special. Anyways,
I think most people are still asleep.
A large amount of.
What was that?
What was what?
Where did that come from?
Did you hear that noise?
What the fuck was that?
What?
It sounded like a scream.
That sounded like it's someone screaming.
Huh?
Was it
anyway,
Owl? It was Owl.
The election wasn't stolen. Can we just please get over it? Can we focus on the?
Oh no, but guys, I think I forget if I said this to any of you guys, but did you know that if you don't count the Democratic counties, Trump won the election?
Oh yeah, by a landslide.
By a landslide, bro.
Biggest landslide in history. Anyway, so going to Biden, ICE directors.
If you don't count the people who voted for the Democrats, Trump won. Like, dude, this is obvious fraud.
Okay, so Representative Clyburn says that he thinks there's a good chance Trump's actually going to be convicted in the Senate.
Maybe.
But but the thing I just don't get about, well, I mean, with an exception of the part where you said he wouldn't be eligible to run in 4 years.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's almost as if this, the whole thing that happened on the 6th of January, it was just like heaven sent. The Democrats, I'm sure, absolutely love that happened.
Oh yeah.
Like,
they like the repercussions of it happening. They don't.
Yeah.
It happened.
Yeah. So maybe they don't actually like that it happened, but they're like, in hindsight, they're like, oh yeah, this is exactly
a blessing in disguise, so to say.
Yeah. I mean, I guess everything has a net positive and a net negative to it. Like, I mean, literally everything.
That doesn't make sense.
If politically utilitarian, that makes perfect sense.
It can only have a net one or the other.
Well, okay, yeah, I used net in the wrong sense, but yeah, everything has an upside and a downside. Even like the fucking worst things ever have. Well, like for instance, I won't name the particular historical event, but at least that particular event made people aware of certain things, and now we are trying our hardest to prevent that sort of thing from happening again because we are actually aware of how severe it was, and then led to changes in like human rights laws, that sort of thing.
That was a terrible hill to die on.
I'm not dying on that hill. I'm just saying that there's always like a tiny little like sliver of something. Like think of the worst thing, think of the best thing. There's even shitty things that happen to the best things.
With that, or the negatives.
I'm just speaking very neutrally here. I'm not saying this from any kind of ideological perspective.
I don't think that's how you see it if they ever see this video.
What?
Yeah, I mean, politically.
I'm saying this from
that was like you could have used literally any other historical example, but you had to go with the one.
What hold on.
Now you have to make up something else you were talking about.
I mean, I was going to say the 30 Years' War.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
What did you think I was talking about?
The Holocaust?
Of course not. I wasn't talking about the Holocaust. Why would I say that?
I mean, it's obvious you were going to say the Holocaust.
I never said the Holocaust. But
as long as we've established for any YouTube personnel seeing this that you were not talking about the Holocaust and trying
which 100% happened. It did. And I'm not being okay. And I feel like we'd be confusing the YouTube people right now because I am being 100%
of this podcast is that the Holocaust happened.
The Holocaust, yeah,
it happened. It was
Owl. Do you think the Holocaust happened, Owl? I think it did. I know it did.
I mean, yeah, the Holocaust happened.
All right,
we're all in agreement.
Yeah.
I was genuinely surprised. I was scared for a sec.
No, it's like, have you seen that meme? It was what was it? It was a picture of Hitler. It was like making fun of like
40 didn't think it happened, but they found
stupid white nationalist logic, where it was a picture of Hitler and it said Hitler did nothing wrong, but I wish he did. And it was like that just sums up the entire like neo-Nazi ideology. They're Holocaust deniers, yet they also want to kill the Jews. So
yeah, I don't think like anyone's actually convinced that the Holocaust didn't happen. They just like it's a.
I mean, the closest thing I've seen to that are people who have downplayed the numbers. Like they've been like, "Oh no, it was more like 2 million or whatever." But
yeah,
honestly,
I know someone like that.
Yeah, but honestly, I don't even think that even really matters because that would still be 2 million people. It was definitely more than 2 million, but either way, it's like, why are you quantifying something that terrible just on the basis of mass? Like, I mean, that's something really.
I don't know, bro. Weird hill to die on. Anyways, back to impeachment.
Yeah.
Do you guys think it'll happen?
I think there's a good chance it will.
I mean, especially after Mitch McConnell.
I think there's a good chance that will. After Mitch McConnell's.
Because the thing is, Donald Trump has no leverage over Mitch McConnell. Like Mitch McConnell, the power is in his hands right now. It's like he's playing a classic BioWare RPG. He could choose one option that will change the course of a story, or he can choose the other option. So it's like Knights of the Old Republic. You can do the light side.
Given the fact that Mitch McConnell I heard something about him nearly losing his election seat.
Because he is super unpopular in his state.
Well, yeah, but he's probably trying to save face as much as possible with the political establishment.
Thomas Massey I could see him
actually.
Oh no, dude! I hate
Thomas
Massey so much. I fucking
love
Massey. Is one of the worst congressmen.
He's one of the
honestly
best
the only congressman I like is Josh Hawley.
Oh,
hey, do you still? Hey, Alcazar, did you forget that that's actually your least favorite?
I said congressman.
Josh.
Oh, I meant to say like worst person in the House.
Do you mean representative? Okay.
Yeah. Josh Hawley's probably. I would still say Thomas Massey's worse.
Really?
Yeah.
I've met Thomas Massey, a really nice guy. Like in real life,
but he's
very sincere.
But Thomas Massey voted against like the Hong Kong Human Rights and Democracy Act and the
that made me
like that is also he's like a fucking he's like anti-mask and he thinks
he's not anti-mask, he's anti-government mandating that people wear masks.
Fucking what's the difference at this point?
I think you should just give private businesses tax incentives to make mask wearing a policy. That's the best way. Soft mask
it costs literally nothing to just institute a mask order. Like, Jesus Christ. Also, he thinks that herd immunity is unironically a good idea to deal with the coronavirus pandemic.
Does he still think that, or did he think that?
He thinks that. Also, he's against like he's against like government aid. I love how he just completely. So I don't mind John Kerry, but I thought it was hilarious how he just completely owned John Kerry that one time, just shut him down. That was pretty funny. Thomas Massey just fucking pisses me off.
I don't know how. He is a total troll though on Twitter, which is
okay. So you guys,
but we are going off top. This is like the worst episode. Yeah, this is like the worst Pigpen episode ever.
Yeah, you guys, we could chat about senators later after the stream's over, guys.
This reminds me more of one of the midnight streams. But so yeah, there's really nothing here. It's really just stating the
yeah.
Let's go back. Mm-hmm. Let's just say likelihood that it would actually.
I think it's likely at this point if Mitch McConnell's like, yeah, he committed an impeachable offense, like that's.
I think
fairly
he
damning.
Might have committed an impeachable offense, but I don't think the impeachable offense that he committed is the one that they're actually bringing.
What do you think is the impeachable offense he committed?
He may have committed sedition, but I don't think he committed advocating for insurrection.
Really? You think he committed sedition?
He may
not. I'm interested.
This is an argument that he might have. Better than that he.
What's that argument?
Yeah.
He's trying to undermine the faith in our system, and he's trying to get people to go against the electors that voted and were what's the word?
Certified.
Certified, yeah.
So is that
I don't agree that he did it, but there's a better argument for that than insurrection.
Yes. Is that not part of the articles though? Because like he did try to pressure the Georgia Secretary of State into overturning.
Yeah.
Insurrection is the only part of the articles. That's why I said you guys should read that.
I thought it was. I mean, I still think he should be impeached for that anyway, but like whatever.
Yeah, they only put one thing in the articles of impeachment that are going forward for this, and that is instigating insurrection, or not instigating.
I mean, I still think he's guilty of that.
You see, as much as people say that, I still can't see how it could be just because of the words he used. Like again, like I said, it's very likely or possible. I don't want to say likely, but it is very possible, and I could definitely see this being the case, that he wanted insurrection to happen, but nothing from what Trump has said remotely sounds like literally actively inciting.
He wasn't being a Democrat. The argument, okay, so for 2 months, 2 months, right? Trump has been saying the election is stolen, the election is stolen, the election is stolen. Like, we have to fight. So he's been pushing this rhetoric, and then like at the magnum opus, like he gives it, like him and Giuliani give this speech about like how we're going to go down to the Capitol, like, which granted he didn't like directly incite the violence, but the thing is like the rhetoric he used like certainly caused it.
Not to be violent. He said to be peaceful 3 times in that speech.
Yes, dude, but like if you're fucking saying like Biden's like a fundamental threat to like all of us, and then the election was stolen, you're just hammering in this rhetoric, like, and then the Capitol storm, like, dude, that's your fault. Like, part of that is your fault.
Well, that's what I'm saying, sedition and not insurrection. Nothing in that speech he gave advocated for violence.
I understand, but the thing is, it's not just the words themselves that like instigate this erection, right? It's the rhetoric. You see what I mean?
I mean,
But then how can you prove that though? That's the thing.
Yeah. I mean, the evidence that they gave was like half of one sentence in his speech that was taken out of context.
I mean, also, this isn't like going to be the only evidence, right? Like, this is just the articles of impeachment. Like, this isn't going to be the only piece of evidence.
No, I mean,
I doubt it. I doubt that it will be too.
So this is just something they slapped together, and they said, "Oh, here's a quote from his speech." There's going to be more stuff, but like
I've read his speech. I mean,
yeah, I understand, but like this, like it wasn't just that one. Like this doesn't just happen in a vacuum. Like he was rhetorically
talk about in the articles of impeachment.
Yeah, like that's the only thing they talk about. But
the event is like that speech, and the events that followed it are the only things referenced.
Yeah.
So I have
like, but again, they're going to like make a case. Like I don't think that speech is that. I don't think they're only going to use that speech as a piece of evidence. Like that would be retarded.
He's never told them to go to the Capitol and break in and wreck things, and he never.
Yeah, I have to honestly, like, I'd have to agree with that. Just if I'm going to be intellectually honest here.
Yeah, I'd have to stand. Well, I've always kind of stand by that Trump isn't guilty of any sort of crime with the insurgency or the quote riots that you guys have been saying earlier.
Like, dude, because the thing is, like, I understand, right? Like, it wasn't direct, but the thing is, they went in there because they thought the election was being stolen from them.
Sure.
And these lies were perpetrated by the president of the United States. Like, do you not think he holds?
But you're almost making it sound like, was like some big. It was intent. Like this was Trump's plan all along. And that's why he kept saying. Like, I don't think Trump is that smart. He doesn't have that much foresight.
You're right. He isn't.
Like Trump's just.
He isn't that smart.
I don't think he.
So the thing is, maybe instead of comparing this to murder, maybe it would be better to compare it to manslaughter.
That's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't that. I never said it was intentional. I'm just saying like.
Okay. I think I misunderstood you.
I know. I should have clarified that. He probably didn't intend for this to happen, but like if drunk driving and you kill someone, you most likely didn't intend to kill someone, but you should still be held culpable for that, like you killing someone, right?
Yeah.
Like this is my logic here. He most likely didn't want. I mean, he could have wanted, like you said, but this probably wasn't his intention. But like, being reckless is still like criminal in many other instances.
That falls under engaging in insurrection or rebellion against the United States.
Yeah, if you do it by accident, like that's still
an accidental insurrection.
I don't think that qualifies as insurrection.
I mean, I think that were there not people trying to like, were there not like people in there that were trying to like hold Congressman hostage or whatever and overturn the election, right? Like
we're not, but the point isn't what the people did there. The point is what he advocated for. Did he incite it or not? I mean, I don't think anything he said incited insurrection.
No, I mean, I think it did, yeah. Like whether you meant to or not.
I mean, he definitely was undermining people's,
Also, Fordo, your mic is a little
what?
Roboting a little bit.
Oh, I'm sorry. My internet's kind of weird sometimes.
I don't know. It could be on my end. Is anyone else having a power problem?
I'm not having any problems hearing.
I'm not having any problem either.
Oh shit! It's just me.
Okay. So he was definitely undermining people's faith in the system. Absolutely. And he was trying to get like Mike Pence to throw out the electors that he doesn't think should be presented because he claims the election was stolen in certain states. Now, that could, if you stretched it, qualify as sedition, possibly. Like, there's an argument for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think any of that is advocating for violence. And if advocating for violence is necessary for incitement of insurrection, or else you're just inciting sedition.
Yeah, let's see.
Like, the only difference between insurrection and sedition is one includes violence.
Okay. It's impeached for high crimes and misdemeanors at the following of the article of impeachment has been exhibited by the Senate. So, hold on, I'm just reading it real quick. Yeah. Article of impeachment exhibited by the House of Representatives of the United States of America and the South to people of the United States of Donald Trump, President.
Take your time.
I mean, you can talk while I read this.
Okay.
Don't make this go to dead air.
Yeah, it's only like 3 pages. It's not that long.
Yeah.
In there, they say that he was complaining, claiming that the election was stolen, and then they said that one half quote from one sentence in there about fighting or you're going to lose the country, which is immediately followed by telling them how he wants them to fight, and that is by cheering for the Republican senators and congressmen who are going to object to the elector reading.
Take care of that.
And in his speech, he directly said to be peaceful multiple times throughout the speech. I mean, he did want them to go over there, but he wanted them to stand outside and yell encouragement.
Okay.
That's why I think the whole thing of them going inside was a setup.
I don't know if it was a setup or not. I'm not.
We don't have. I'm not saying it isn't, but there is not a single shred.
I don't think
of evidence.
No offense, but the way Trump supporters operate is that 1, they're not very smart, and 2, they tend to follow Donald Trump, listen to exactly what he says, and they basically follow him and obey everything he says.
That's actually a pretty spot on analysis, Owl.
I mean, he does, but the thing is that doesn't mean like nobody doesn't take shit into their own hands.
Then again, aren't the Democrats are kind of like that in a different way, though. Like, honestly, I'd say the
all it takes
the Democrats are more cringe than the Republicans, but the Republican boomercon types are just like, what is trying to think of another word that's sort of similar to cringe, kind of like how Keck and Based are like
boomers.
What?
You should just call them the GOP boomers.
Or the boomer. No, I came up with a term I've been using for like the past 2 years now, the boomercons. And then I noticed that so I started saying that all the time on Twitter. Next thing I know, Michael Malice is
okay, here. What's your face? So, what's your name? Fordor.
Yes.
They say at starting at line 18 on page 2, I think this is, or 4. President Trump's conduct on January 6, 2021 followed his prior efforts to subvert and obstruct the certification of the results of the 2020 presidential election. So, like, they're citing more stuff. These prior events included a phone call on January 2nd, during which the president urged the Secretary of State of Georgia, Brad Raffensperger, to find enough votes to overturn the presidential election results and threatened the Secretary Raffensperger if he failed to do so.
But there's nothing violent about that. That's possibly seditious, but it is not insurrection.
Okay.
If you look up the legal definition of insurrection, it is sedition plus violence, basically. That's not word for word, but that is literally what differentiates those two.
So insurrection is sedition plus violence, right?
Yes.
I still think there's a case to be made because he certainly fulfilled the seditious part, but like I think the violent insurrectionist part.
I have no doubt that there was sedition on Trump's part.
He incited it. I think some bad apple in that group of people decided to hijack the mob, break into the thing. I think it was just one person being dumb, or a small.
It wasn't
one person. I mean, the FBI had intercepted.
There was a website of people planning to break into the building.
Yeah, it was definitely multiple people. People like agitators who ended up riling people up.
Person, but a small number of people.
I heard Alex Jones was there.
I don't know anything about that.
And then Baked Alaska, I know, was there.
I know he was there, and he was in Pelosi's office, and he took pictures, and he's going to jail for many, many years.
Really? That's funny.
Well, he hasn't been arrested yet, as far as I'm aware, but he will be.
That's a shame. I would have loved to get a selfie photo with Pelosi and a laptop.
Oh, I thought you were about to say Baked Alaska for a second, and I'm like...
No, I was going to say I would love to get a selfie with Pelosi and a laptop.
Yeah, I mean, he was, for a short amount of time, in possession of classified material because he had her laptop, and that doesn't have...
And for YouTube's sake, I'm definitely not a right-wing radical. I just like Pelosi a lot, just for the YouTube moderators' information.
Hey, you know what? They may have YouTube moderators may have fallen for the whole 30 years war thing, but I don't think they're going to fall for that, Owl.
Oh shoot, I'm screwed.
Yeah. Fusion with Jisk is going to come down your door and peg you.
Punkers. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go take a piss and go to bed.
Don't leave. We have another 25 minutes before we're turning off. Yeah. Because you never stay for a whole one anyway. So you're always late and you always leave early. But
Dude,
either way. Yeah, we're gonna go just for another 25 more minutes. But in terms of
how much more is there to talk about for 45 minutes?
No, I said 25.
Oh, 25. I thought you said 45.
No, definitely not 45. No, we're going just to the 2-hour mark. But what do you guys think just in the long term? Let's say Trump is impeached. Do you think that he will end up having criminal charges pushed against him too? Like afterwards, do you think?
Oh, like in the Southern District of New York?
Like, what are the chances that he does prison time? I don't think it's very high. But,
so are you talking about like his tax evasion stuff for the Southern District of New York?
Just in general, because I mean he did a lot of other shit too.
Yeah, those are the ones that are the most likely to get anything.
Sure. Let's go with that.
I think if he's impeached and like convicted and removed from office, the chances of him getting convicted for that in New York is the likelihood he'll get convicted for that is exponentially higher.
You think so? Because I'm pretty sure he's protected as the president. Like he has to be impeached and then found guilty by the Senate.
No, this is a different crime.
I'm not talking about in relation to these articles of impeachment. I mean, by being the head of the executive branch, I believe he's actually immune to anything other than being impeached that he did well.
Well, so that means literally that means if Trump literally shot somebody in the middle of Fifth Avenue, he wouldn't get arrested.
Removed
from
president.
I know that's kind of fucked up, honestly. I don't think that anybody should have that level of immunity.
I believe that is true. I'm not 100%.
No. So the thing is, it's like for one, those crimes were committed before. If I recall correctly, that those tax evasion charges were before from when he was president.
Okay, if it happened before he was president, he will probably serve.
And on top of that, you could still be. I'm pretty sure you could still be arrested anyway for crimes you've committed in office. Like once you're out of it, you lose the immunity.
Basically, I mean, I've always subscribed to the Thomas Aquinas, what he said: a king who like acts against the interests of his people is no king, and like a king who is a traitor to his people is a traitor to the nation, and he has thus forfeited his legitimacy to rule and must be forcefully removed. So that's literally a Thomas Aquinas quote.
That is impeachment and being removed from office.
Except that was in a more violent way. Oh, did Owl? Welcome back, Owl. I didn't notice you left.
Sorry,
disconnected
a second ago.
Yeah, so I think because like if he's impeached and convicted, like the likelihood he's going to get arrested for the stuff in New York, I think that goes up. Because at that point, it's like
before he was president, the likelihood absolutely goes up.
Yeah, because it just like if he's impeached and removed from office, like, and that person, whoever's in charge, whoever's the prosecutor for this, whoever's the state prosecutor for that, like, they want that prize. That's gonna make him look real good because he's gonna be the only person in history thus far who would put a president in prison.
I mean, in U.S. history.
In U.S. history, like that's like, and I mean, to be fair, that's well deserved. You get to brag about that shit, dude.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, in a strange sort of way, I guess. But
there's no precedent for it. But
there isn't
precedent for all the shit he's done. So
there isn't precedent for most things that have happened over the past 4 years.
Yeah, there will be some court discussions, I am sure.
Yeah, well, also, it depends. Is there going to be a jury for that trial, too? That also has to factor in.
Tax stuff? I doubt it. Well, you always have the... Is that civil?
I was about to say, yeah, I think that's... Hold on, I'm looking it up.
I mean, aren't most trials... Or, wait, if it goes to trial...
Criminal or civil. If it's criminal, there can be a jury. If it's civil, I think it's usually bench. Although,
okay, so the IRS has the power to decide whether or not it wants to impose criminal tax penalties, civil tax penalties, or both. Okay, and honestly, knowing that
civil doesn't.
So here's my logic, and Owl's really gonna like this one. He's gonna like this.
Oh boy.
So IRS is a long-standing bureaucracy, so it is more or less part of, I don't want to use the term deep state, but it is more or less part of that apparatus, which some people call the deep state, and meaning that they do not like Donald Trump, meaning that because it would be Donald Trump, they're 100% going to make it criminal instead of civil.
Okay.
Golly, just
so
call them part of the cathedral.
I looked it up. In most states, if a defendant is entitled to a jury if he faces the possibility of more than 6 months in incarceration. If you are charged with simple assault, for instance, and the possible penalty is only 30 days in jail, you will not be entitled to a jury trial. So,
and if it's civil, there's no jail time. If it's criminal, civil court, I don't think can give you jail.
I think it's criminal court.
Yeah, it depends.
I think he's being tried in criminal court. So if the resistance libs might have their fantasies come true.
Oh god, yeah.
They're shitty Photoshop.
Before he was president, there's definitely like a chance. Sitting presidents are immune to prosecution.
They're not immune to coronavirus, though.
No,
Trump
is a demonstration of that.
I think.
Hasn't Bolsonaro had coronavirus for like the past year?
Dude, he's had it twice. God, dude, imagine Bolsonaro.
Bolsonaro, he's a mess. Like, I mean,
he's such a dumbass.
No, that's basically. Hey, you remember Fordor? You and I both know somebody who's Brazilian.
Yes.
Remember how he was like
Stolto?
Stolto always was like. It's like, oh yeah, Bolsonaro is a dumbass, but I voted for him because at least he's not a fucking communist.
You guys seem like you're getting off topic, and we're running out of time.
Okay, Owl. So you're the
one saying that we couldn't find enough information to fill the last part of the podcast.
Well, no, I was gonna say
that's true.
You're Mr. Tangent, Owl. And now you're trying to keep us. I just got it.
Mr. Tangent. Whenever I go on long tangents, at least I actually have a point to it from going off of what you guys were originally saying.
We all go off on Owl. I'm just giving you shit.
Jury trial.
Fine. Fair enough.
Yes.
Anyways,
are immune to federal charges.
Yeah, but the thing is, these are state charges. He's only immune from federal charges?
State taxes, not federal taxes, because you were talking about the IRS a minute ago.
Yeah, these are state taxes. Like he's under. Because you're only immune from federal offenses, right?
Yes, it is only federal offenses.
Oh, then he's fucked.
Although there's no precedent for states pressing state charges, but who knows?
I mean,
I know
let's set this precedent. I want to see where this goes.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. If they're federal taxes and you have the IRS involved, he's immune. if it happened while he was president. If it's state taxes, I have no idea how that's going to go.
The president wages re-election campaign polls.
Are you still?
Latsky, it sounds like you're really enjoying this.
Oh yeah, this is like erotica to him.
Yeah, I hate the current occupant of the White House, and I just want
to. Alkazai is an impeachment proceedings coomer.
Yeah, I'm a avid observer in the speedrunning community, specifically when it comes to impeachment.
Speed nut January.
Speed nut January.
Yeah.
Impeachment, any percent speedrun.
Well, the Senate
I wonder what glitches they're going to use to get as more time.
Why did I? For some reason, I was like, okay. So Fordor, do you want to know how tired I am right now, Fordor? So Alkazai just said the word glitch, and I was like, oh, he knows glitch. That was the first thing that popped in my mind.
Okay. I've met Glitch in person once.
Oh yeah, at the at the cult meeting.
Yeah,
at the cult
meeting.
Yeah. Anyway, so Alkazai, I'm sorry. You were saying?
Nothing. I
he definitely can't pardon himself because he can't pardon state crimes.
Yeah, you see, honestly, the idea of the president pardoning himself, that just seems like why would the founding fathers make it so that a president can pardon himself? That just seems
pardon anyone.
Dumb. I don't like the R word, but yeah.
It will. If he's impeached, he loses his ability to do that, and then they can press the charges.
I would love to see him pardon Nixon for Watergate.
It's because he's the head of the executive party.
Nixon was. I mean, it wasn't that. There were no criminal proceedings again. What are you talking about?
I know.
Oh, okay.
I know.
Okay, so
Nixon
was not a bad president. I'm gonna say that.
And he was not a crook, right?
I mean, it was actually H.W. Bush who was the guy behind. He was the head of the RNC when that happened. He was the mastermind. Old Bush.
Yeah.
Nobody knows. Yeah.
So,
a very
anyways,
bushy thing to do.
If you want me to put down a little bit of what I think will happen after the impeachment, on the Democratic side, I basically think all the energy that the left have been pushing into the hatred of Trump, once Trump's gone, basically they'll be burned out, and plus they'll have no revenue streams anymore because they were making bank calling Trump.
I am convinced that the heads of MSNBC, CNN, even fucking Cenk Uygur probably voted for Trump because it's so good for profits.
I highly doubt.
I don't think so.
You do realize
maybe not Cenk, but maybe
Twitter made its first profit.
The shareholders in the board members at who owns who owns NBC? Why was I about to say Capcom?
Comcast.
No, Comcast. Yeah, I'm sure that they did because it's the Trump bump.
I'm sure,
but basically,
shareholders voted sure. But who cares about that? The people that run it, I absolutely do not believe voted for Trump. There's nothing you could say that would convince me. There's no. It doesn't matter what the profit motive was or whatever. There's no way they voted for Trump.
You should have voted for Joe Biden to own the libs.
Vote for PewDiePie.
But anyways, all that energy that once the left gets burned out, it's just going to destroy the energy on the left there. On top of that, with Trump being
when you say the left, do you mean do you just mean the Democrats in general, or are you referring to
the Democrats in general? So this would also, and plus this includes some of the Bernie bros, because since Bernie lost again, that just destroyed their energy, if you know what I mean.
Well,
so the left as a whole is just going to be burned.
That's one of the
Well, what I'm meaning is the left as a whole are going to be burned out when it comes to energy.
The presidency, the House, and the Senate. Like, there's nothing standing in their way. There's no resistance.
And they control the culture too. So,
it doesn't matter if they're burnt out. There's no one to resist against what they want to do.
Yeah, I mean,
resist by voting for Nancy.
That's about it. Like, you can.
Well, yes, they have that on the same level. It just won't. They won't have the same energy as when they were attacking Trump.
There's nobody.
They're not gonna have.
Dude, literally, their only obstacle is fucking Joe Manchin. That is literally it.
Man.
I'm sorry. The fact that you mentioned Joe Manchin as the only obstacle.
He literally is, though. Like, who's there out there? Who, what?
Joe Manchin.
I mean, I guess you could point.
Joe Manchin was quick to endorse Biden too, so that's not saying that much.
Well, I would say that you're going to have a split within the Democratic Party between neoliberals like the type of Bloomberg types and the more radical Bernie
Bloomberg's
types.
a Republican. He's a grifter.
Okay.
No,
I mean,
well,
you
still get what I mean.
Yeah.
Is there going to be such a dramatic shift that they're not going to get any legislation through? Like, you think AOC is just going to vote against like a public option if it were going to be on the table?
I mean, she might. She's kind of dumb.
I don't know. It's going to be much harder. Well, I don't know.
It's not going to be just her.
I honestly don't know. I can't predict.
Listen, dude, AOC isn't like as radical as she was like 2 years ago because like
no, she's towing the party. She's slowly starting to toe the party line more and more.
Yeah, she is. So like, I mean, and for one, she's being in the office has humbled her, and she realized, oh shit, I just can't get all this radical shit.
I don't know if it's so much that it humbled her. I think it's more so she sees how it works and she realizes that she's going to be.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant by the office has humbled her.
Well,
she saw that she better not keep going like she's going because she's getting all the Democrats turned against her. So she kind of stopped doing that.
Give her like 6 years. She's going to be. I don't want to outright say a neoliberal, but she'd be like she'll basically end up being one of those, the lefty globe types on Twitter, because you have like the actual like classic neolibs within globe Twitter, but then you also have like the suck dem globe Twitter people. That's what I guarantee you. That's what Cortez.
I mean, I'd rather she's probably going to be like, I think she's just going to turn out to be like a Bernie Sanders, like somebody who's like very ideologically progressive, but is like, all right, but realize, okay, I have to work within the system.
She's already that way.
And how has that worked for Bernie so far?
But in the end, well, yes, it's going to be painful with the Joe Biden presidency. I do think that they will lose a significant portion of energy especially mainly for the news media, now that Trump will no longer be on the radar. Well, now on the Republican side,
I mean, Trump isn't going to go away. He's still going to have.
He's not going to shut up unless he goes to jail.
Like, but even then,
just a possibility.
He's going to have somebody. He's going to like have somebody speak through him.
Sure.
Like,
no, I see the media gonna be completely silencing him.
That doesn't mean he's gonna.
Okay, so what are the? Do you think that the so for a while it was like right after the election all the way up until around Christmas, there was a lot of talk about Trump buying either Newsmax or OAN, turning it into like Trump News or whatever. If he gets if he gets impeached. What do you? Oh no! I think there was actually something to that, because he was originally planning on starting a television station before he started, or before he, like, ever since like 2014. And initially, and this is actually one of the more sound theories as to why Trump initially ran in the first place, was as a publicity stunt.
I actually don't think he thought he was going to win at the beginning.
Yeah, no, I think it was a publicity stunt. But then I think what happened was he saw himself, like everybody in the mainstream media hated him after that. That really pissed him off, and he dug his foot in. And then I think his kids were probably like, maybe not Ivanka, but you had like that doofus Trump Jr. and was like, hey, Dad. What you should do, you should actually run, and that's probably what happened. But yeah, no, his plan from the beginning was TV network, because that's really what he cares about, man. But anyway, so I was kind of long-winded with that.
I don't think he'll do much go anywhere if he does.
No, but what do you think the likelihood if he gets impeached? Do you think that would really hurt his chances of being able to recover?
I mean, if it's like OAN or Newsmax, because the thing is, it's like just because like Trump's gonna be impeached doesn't mean like his diehard sycophants are gonna leave.
Oh, exactly. No, Trump, whether for better or worse, he's a permanent figure
for worse.
Culture. Yeah, in our culture now. Yeah. Like, I mean, he's like, I mean, yeah, you had like Bush, and yeah, even though Bush and Obama, Clinton, they still do their appearances. They more or less kind of stepped out of the limelight after they left. But
wait.
But Trump, he's going to stay. He's going to be a permanent fixture within.
Obama never really left the limelight. He's still
maybe he stepped to the edges of the limelight.
He certainly is the most active out of any of the former presidents.
Yeah, I'm looking like because I was alive during like Clinton and Bush and him, and after they left the presidency, they shut up a lot more than he did.
Yeah, I'm not denying that. Like Obama's certainly the most vocal and active out of any of them, but
I think,
but Obama, he's not an attention whore in the same.
Yeah, like Obama's still living a relatively quiet life.
During the election, like he was pretty.
Yeah, he was. No, he was, but like I don't think like he did it because like he wants the attention. He did it because like he knows people like him.
He wanted people to vote a certain way. I mean,
yeah, so like that's why he came out, because like Obama's still one of the most popular presidents. Like, of course they're gonna drag him out to campaign for his former VP.
Great public speaker.
Oh yeah, no, Obama. Okay, so policy wise, I was not a fan of Obama, but in terms of his ability as like. Him as a figurehead, he was a fantastic head of state. He was a fantastic figurehead.
Great communicator.
Exactly. Probably even more so than Reagan.
I mean,
I think Reagan was a better president.
Reagan was funny.
I think Reagan was overall a better president than Obama, and I think a majority of the country would probably agree with that, even a lot of Democrats. But in terms of his as like a public speaker, Obama I think surpasses, and as a communicator, I think Obama surpasses Reagan.
I have no idea.
I don't know.
I think Trump himself is going to go, but Trump the movement and the people are basically going to be the future of the GOP.
That's really what I meant.
I don't know if I agree with that.
You don't want to agree with that because you're a neocon, and you know that the neocons are a dying base.
Okay, honestly,
you're basically sucking up to copium.
I'm gonna sit away. If there is sort of a neocon resurgence, it's not going to be. No, just listen. So if the neocons do have a future, it's not so much, and this isn't anything. I'm not talking about you specifically, Alcazai, but I have a feeling that it's not so much going to be the Alcazai style neocons that will ultimately end up. I don't want to say rising.
What do you mean by me style?
Basically, the traditional. I basically see if there is a future to the neoconservative movement, it's more with the Kevin Castley types.
Oh. Like these, not like the socially liberal sort of conservatarian types?
Sort of, but then also at the same time, very more nationalistic than people, for instance, like George Bush or John McCain.
Well, I mean, what I mean, it's like I don't even think like
even with
a good example would be
even with the Kyle Castley type, you still have to realize
Tom Cotton would be a good example of like the Kyle Castley or Kevin Castley.
I don't. The thing is, I'm not even saying like the neocons have to make a research. I'm just saying like moderates in general. Like this is from like Mitt Romney, who's more of a liberal conservative, to like your Liz Cheney types. Like
wasn't Mitt Romney in a BLM
he was
protest?
Yeah, he was.
Really?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, that sounds like.
See that, but he doesn't sound like he belongs there.
No, a white Mormon at a white rich Mormon politician.
I mean, dude, his dad was like a civil rights activist, kind of.
Oh yeah, I know. What's funny is Mormons. So they like back in the 1800s, they used to be like they were very, very, very racist. But then
in the 1960s, they still were. Do you know how much shit George?
No, but then they became like super like universalist and welcoming to like all these So,
yeah,
like,
because the thing is, it's like in the 1960s, like the Mormon church was still pretty racist. Like George Romney got a lot of shit from the church when he went out there and like marched with like MLK.
I mean, they're against the traditional nuclear family, so traditionally.
Yeah,
Martin Luther King wasn't.
No.
Okay, honestly, so hot take. I personally prefer Malcolm X to MLK.
Ew. Ew.
Explain yourself.
Well, that is we're starting to run out of time. That'll be something for a future stream.
Can we also have a stream where we talk about how shit Thomas Massey is?
I thought that happened already.
We did, but we needed like another stream to fully.
So just the Thomas Massey theme stream.
Yeah, just a Thomas.
I would say that if the neocons ever want to recoup what they somewhat had, they probably are going to have to make peace with the reactionaries.
Okay. Did you watch the stream with? Did you watch the foreign policy stream? It was Outstreamer and Kevin Castley. They were basically.
I was in there for the end. I was in there at the end. Oh yeah, you were. It.
That's right. But yeah, no, that's actually. So I've been talking about Outstreamer and Castley. That's actually a dialogue they both mutually really appear to want to continue having.
Wait. Was that the stream I was in?
Yeah, I think you may have left early, but it's basically where they came up with a hypothetical deal. Basically, the future of both. It's not exactly how I'm just pulling out words here, but more or less, I'm describing exactly, like more or less what they meant. Basically, the future of neoconservatism and NRX could be each other, so to speak. Where, for instance, neocons, they control the foreign policy, NRX controls the culture.
I don't think NRX is going to control anything.
No. I'm just saying this was the hypothetical dialogue.
Basically, broader reactionary movement will control the culture and domestic policy.
They won't.
Neocons control the foreign policy.
This is a hypothetical.
Yeah.
This has to do with the dialogue that Castley and Outstreamer were having.
They better fucking not. I hate reactionaries. Neocons control everything.
Actually happening in reality.
Yeah, neocons control everything. Please, Liz Cheney, 2024.
Oh God.
Oh no!
Accepted that libertarians aren't going to win anything. Maybe individual states.
Honestly, I think libertarianism is
a cult.
Now,
libertarians annoy me.
See,
I don't know, dude. Like
it's a very, very complicated movement. Like, I'm not going to get into it right now. I should probably make a video for my channel just about like all of these different because the thing is, libertarians fight each other more often than fight. Well, just look at Chicago Liberal. Chicago Liberal fights with libertarians more than he fights with communists.
Yeah. Also, I want to say libertarians. I hate them for one reason. Like, I hate most of them for one reason, and their foreign policy is just dog shit, dude. They're the biggest.
I think that a lot of them aren't particularly pragmatic with it. Like, I'm a defensive realist. I am generally my default position is generally.
Oh, shut up! You basically only accept the Monroe Doctrine.
I mean,
again, a defensive realist.
Problem with that.
But the thing is with God damn it, Al, you made me lose my No, okay. Now So by default, I generally I am skeptical of intervention. However, I understand that there are always instances where exceptions have to be made. I am a realist.
World War I and II.
World War I, we did not have to get involved in World War I. It would have probably been better had Germany won the First World War. World War II was justified, though, to get involved in. Yeah. Because Japan attacked us.
Aggression, yeah.
How did we get off topic again?
Because we're over 2 hours. We're over 2 hours, and it doesn't even matter anymore. Yeah. So we're going to start wrapping up. We're going to go around. Just final thoughts on impeachment. I'll give you guys each 2 minutes. You can choose to use your whole time or not, but we'll start with Fordor.
Yeah, so I'm not necessarily opposed to impeachment, but I'm definitely opposed to these articles of impeachment. I don't think that what Trump did qualifies for what they're trying to impeach him for. They could find a better reason to impeach him than that if they're going to do it. I'll yield the rest of my time.
Aristocratic Owl.
So basically, I don't think that the impeachment on actual grounds is real, but they're doing it just to get rid of Trump in general. I think once they get rid of Trump, they're going to basically lose a lot of steam, the media in general. And then with the Republican Party, especially with everything that happened during the election and the impeachment of the Republicans that are doing it, the current GOP and whatever neocons are siding with the impeachment, I think, are dead, as the movement is going to probably rise up and become the new face of the Republican Party.
Gamers rise up. QAnon gamers rise up.
Also,
level up.
I think it's safe to say, like, we're in the 7th party system. I don't know. I don't see a lot of takes.
That is a completely different conversation.
Well, ultimately, what's going to happen is that more reactionaries and neo-reactionaries are going to look more enticing. That's not to say that neo-reactionaries as a group are going to be the new mainstream, but their ideas are going to slowly trickle down to some of the masses.
Like I am personally not politically NRX. However, from a purely analytical perspective, I have come to a lot of the same conclusions that they have come to. I just don't share the political convictions, if that makes sense.
I mean, if you look at how people are saying the election's rigged and how everything's propped up.
Everything is always rigged. The thing is, it's not rigged against the Republicans or the Democrats.
Except with how it's
for the establishment of both.
It's basically have been more, especially within the year of 2020, it's based NRX, a lot of their predictions have proven to be true.
Oh,
and I think a lot of them and reactionaries are going to become more powerful within 2021 and within Joe Biden.
I honestly, I wouldn't go that. I feel like that's a bit of optimism bias on your part. Maybe I'm wrong.
Might be.
You could be.
Well,
you could be
even if they're
right,
not the ones in the direct power, you're still going to see their ideas start to trickle down into the mainstream Republicans.
Okay, what the fuck
as the GOP gets axed.
So we'll stop right there. I am going to say that we should actually probably have an episode that solely focuses on the neo-reactionary movement. I'd definitely like to have you on for that. But since we're kind of short on... Again, we should have ended 6 minutes ago. All we have left is Alpha. But so wait, are you done with your take on the impeachment?
Yeah, I'm about done. I just wanted to make that point.
Oh, okay. And finally, Alcazai.
Trump should be impeached, removed from office, and barred from holding future office because he's a dire threat to the Republic. Also, what the fuck is NRX? Is that the reactionaries?
Neo-reactionary.
Like Curtis Land type.
It sounds like, honestly, NRX, it's always sounded like it's always reminded me for some reason of like X-Lax.
Sounds like a fucking sci-fi.
Sounds like a pharmaceutical.
That too.
Yeah,
anyway.
Do you know how the neocons national...
Also, Orange Man bad. Unironically.
Honestly, okay, in all seriousness, the Orange Man is kind of...
Orange Man.
We should probably end the stream now.
Yeah, we should. Okay, so everybody, thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
I am exhausted. Yeah. I didn't even really want to have this tonight, but I didn't know what else to do. But yeah, so I mean, it was definitely an uneventful episode compared to a lot of the others, but I don't know, it was kind of nice. But again, thank you, Fordor, Owl, and Alcazai, my unofficial sort of co-host sometimes, but you haven't been coming on as many lately. But yeah, so thank you all for coming on. Thank you, viewers, for watching. Remember, if you are not, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and I think the bell does something too. But on that note, we'll see you next week. Goodbye.